Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start on the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning. So much to do in the morning. So little time for the jig today, but we're back. We're here at Friday. Oh, it is Friday. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. I'm glad you're here. I'm confused because it feels like a weekend for me. Today is a wellness day in Auckland Unified, so we're at home relaxing, and so it definitely feels like the weekend has started for me. But what a great way to still have story time on my weekend. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time today. And as you know, we have a special guest. I hope that you will enjoy indeed the interview and discussion and reading that we had with Pat Zietlow Miller. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. I am glad you're here. Baby Bia, I see you nice and early. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time today. Good morning to you, Amanda, as well. Of course, you know today we're reading Be Not Be Kind. Mr. Limata, too many books here. We're reading Be Strong, but of course it's the same team, Pat Zietlow Miller and Jen Hill, that brought us Be Kind. So you know you're in for a treat if you've not seen this one too. And of course she did bring us Quickest Kid in Clarksville, another beautiful book that we enjoyed here on Storytime, and many others that she's done, as you have seen from what we were showing earlier on. And also do stick around for the interview so you can hear all about what Pat Zietlow Miller is up to. But it is such an honor to have her here on Storytime. Thank you so much for joining in. As always, let me know where you're joining us from and who is joining in with you. Wish the Storytime community a wonderful day. Say hello to them. Thank you so much for joining in today. I am glad you're here wherever you're joining us from. I hope that you are comfortable and cozy and indeed ready to enjoy a beautiful story. It is Be Strong. I'm getting it right this time. Be Strong. Pat Zietlow Miller and Jen Hill. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Let us see who is with us this morning, ready to enjoy a beautiful story. As you know, Baby Bia, first through the door today. How are you doing today? Good morning. And of course, Amanda, how are you doing today? And you're saying good morning from you out in chilly and dark Seattle. Well, I hope the light comes out very soon. Thank you so much for joining in. And you're saying happy Friday to our Storytime friends. Well, friends, you hear them loud and clear. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime and sending big hugs. Well, thank you. Sending big hugs right back to you. Thank you so much for joining in. I cannot wait for today's read aloud to sit back and enjoy as Pat Zietlow Miller reads to us. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Good morning to you one more time, Amanda, and of course, Baby Bia. How are you doing today? Thank you for being here. Good morning to you, Sarah and Nathan in cold Illinois. Well, if you're like me, get your blanket, have it cozy, have it nearby. It will keep you warm for sure. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. And also do send me other tips, whatever you're doing to stay warm. I forgot to turn on my heat today, so needed this one. Good morning to you, Nathan and Sarah. Thank you for joining us out in Illinois. And he said, we're hoping to play in a lot of snow this weekend. Happy Friday, friends. Well, have fun, enjoy. I hope whatever you're doing is super, super fun, and I'm sure it will be. Thank you so much for joining in. I love playing in the snow, but that's about it. Living in the snow, I don't know. You have to convince me, Sarah and Nathan. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time today. Good morning to you, Cool Kid Life, JC. How are you doing today, buddy? Good to see you here. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. And of course, great playing soccer yesterday. Loved it. Thank you for being here, JC. Good morning to you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Kennedy Kapolio Kampamba, all the way out in Turkey. Thank you so much for joining in. Oh my goodness. A Zambian favorite right there. You said you ate sample maize. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I hope that one day everybody can get to try it. Maybe we need to spread that Zambian cuisine as well. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you use the sour milk as well, because you have to go all the way. Yes, indeed, you have to go all the way. Mabisi Mdala, thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Kennedy Kapolio Kampamba, good morning to you out in Louisiana, Nakitosh to be specific, Braylon, Chad, and of course Auntie Pam, Courtney. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here. And I know I saw you were here yesterday, but I was too late to say hello, and I'm saying it now. Thank you so much for joining in, Braylon and Chad. Oh my goodness, Auntie Pam, thank you so much for being here on Story Time. Absolutely loving it. Thank you. JC, yes, indeed. High five to you, buddy. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Well, without much ado, I will be taking us to an interview that we had with Pat Zietlow Miller, the amazing Pat Zietlow Miller. Good morning to you too, Andres in Pennsylvania. How are you doing? Good to see you back. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday indeed. I hope that your Friday is off to a great start. Yes, indeed. Today we're reading Be Strong from Pat Zietlow Miller and Jen Hill. Join me on the other side of this when we bring up our interview. But for now, let us go on a short break, and we will be right back.
Hey, this is Timothy Goodspeed of the Soapbox Salute. I'm the one who wrote Storytime's theme song. If you'd like to hear more of my protest folk music, you can check out the links below on Instagram or at my website. You are watching Storytime with Mr. Limata.
Thank you, Timothy Dixon, the new dad in the block, on the block, in the building. Yes, indeed. Congratulations to you again, my friend, on your baby boy. Yes, indeed. Good morning to you and the family. Thank you for being here. All right, so this one, Be Strong, and we'll go into our interview with Pat Zietlow Miller. Enjoy it, and I'll see you on the other side. But for now, be strong, enjoy it. Pat Zietlow Miller, Jen Hill, and of course, reading it with permission of Roaring BROOK Press, an imprint of Macmillan Publishing. Thank you for joining in. Hold on one second. Let us bring on our story, our interview. Oh my goodness, I enjoyed it so much. So I hope that you do too, and I'm sure you will. Thank you for being here. Yes, indeed. Oh my. Here we go. Let us see. Will my videos show? All right, one more second. And we are there. Where are you, Pat? Pat Zietlow Miller. Be strong. 1 second. Kids, we're coming with our video for today. Oh, there we go. Oh, you know what? Did I download it here? Oh, 1 second, everybody. I apologize. I think I did not do what I was supposed to do. Hold on. I have it on my past videos. Here we go. 1 second. Please bear with me as I download it and bring it up. Thank you for your patience. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Just hold on 1 second and I will put our banner right back and we will be right back on in 1 second.
He brings to life your favorite stories with his great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start on the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Read me all of your stories. Read me all of your stories. Some with people that look like me, others very different from the way that I look and think. Read me all of your stories.
I hope you can dance along as we wait. Thank you for your patience. Everybody out there, the video is coming right up.
Read me all of your stories. Some with people that look like me, others very different from the way that I look and think. Read me all of your stories. Read me all of your stories. Some stories from far away, others right here in my neighborhood. Story time. Ooh. Story time. Story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start on the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing.
All right, and we're set. We're back. Our video is back. Thank you to those of you that joined in. We were definitely waiting for you, Miss Champion, and everybody that is joining in. Here we go to our video for today. It is coming right up. Thank you for your patience. I am glad you're here. We finally have it right. I downloaded everything to the wrong computer, but here we are. All right, here we go, everybody. Thank you for joining in. I will see you on the other side of this with my interview with Pat Zietlow. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Story Time. A special interview today, of course, with the amazing Pat Zietlow Miller. I have to pinch myself. This is happening right now. Thank you so much, Pat, for joining us today. I am excited to have this guest here. And as you know, many books, amazing books. And as we've seen already, as we've mentioned, we'll be reading Be Strong. I love this one. And of course, this is the series that has just been rocking it. It is a beautiful one indeed. And another one this time, if you remember, Be Kind, and we also have Be Strong coming up, and with Jen Hill. And I hope to hear more about Jen Hill as well and the amazing work that they have done together. And of course, this was the other one that we had too, Be Kind. I love this book so much. It's just such one that I definitely have gotten a few copies for friends and family. I just love it. And of course, too, we had done The Quickest Kid in Clarksville. Yes, get your running shoes on whenever you're reading this one. A special one indeed, but such a great moment, such an honor to have such an amazing guest here with us on Storytime today. And I am glad you're here. Please, as always, wherever you're joining us from, leave us your name, let us know you were here so we can say good morning to you. And of course, if you're joining in later for the recordings, please do leave them here and let us know so that we can definitely be sure to say hi to you. But without much ado today, let me please bring on our guest today, welcoming to Storytime, Pat Zietlow Miller.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. How are you doing, Pat?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here.
It is awesome to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Pat, tell us first of all, where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from Madison, Wisconsin, where it's very cold and snowy, but that just means I can stay inside and read more books.
And write more books. Please keep the magic going. We want more. So Pat, too, I know that today you're reading Be Strong for us, but you recently got an award too. I just wanted to mention that as well. What was the award? How does that make you
Oh,
feel?
yeah. The Wisconsin Library Association named me a notable Wisconsin author for 2021, which was wonderful because there's a lot of great children's authors in the state. And so they honored me for that. And I got to go and talk to a bunch of librarians, which is always a really fun thing to do. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, congratulations. It
Thank
was
you.
so good to see that, like in the media. It's just so beautiful. I think so much deserved. Thank you. But without holding further, I know that we're reading today Be Strong, and you have that one ready for us. So I will just hop off for a little bit and give you the floor, and then of course we'll come back together and talk some more about all your amazing work and you.
Sounds great.
Awesome. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, so this is Be Strong. I wrote the words, Jen Hill drew the photos, and I'm going to read it. My school gym has tall walls. I never noticed them before, but today I have to climb them. Kayla scrambles to the top like it's no big deal. When she gets there, she laughs and flexes her muscles. I don't reach the top or laugh. My muscles keep me stuck at the bottom. I'm not strong. Some days I can't even lift my backpack. Other days, simple things seem too hard. My family says being strong gets you through life when hard times happen and things don't go as planned. So I ask, how can I be strong? Dad says being strong means showing up, like when our neighborhood wakes up early to help people who lost their homes. We're tired, but everyone lifts and carries. We collect clothing, cots, and cans of food. When I see how we can help, I don't miss sleeping in. Mama says being strong means speaking up, like when she sees a corner that needs a crossing guard. She asks city leaders. They say no, but Mama knows she's right. She talks to friends and neighbors, even the mayor, and then she asks again. Grandma Z says being strong means not giving up, like when she started running. At first, she barely jogged a block. She worried people would laugh, but she keeps going day after day, block after block, even when it rains. I want to be strong. So like my dad, I show up and explain our math packet to my friends, just like I promised, even though it's a perfect day to play freeze tag outside. Like Mama, I speak up. When I see kids looking lonely at lunch, I want to help. I think of an idea and tell my teacher, the principal too. Then we make a special table so no one sits alone. Some kids think it's weird, but that doesn't stop us. And like Grandma Z, I do not give up. The first time I play my accordion, it makes screeching sounds. My ears hurt. My eyes water. I don't think I'll ever get it. But I sign up for the talent show anyway. And each time I practice, it sounds a little more like music. Dad says, being strong means knowing you can make things happen and turn nothing into something. Like when I want to dress up as some of my heroes, I decide to reduce, reuse, and recycle. So I look around and use my imagination. It's harder than buying a costume, and it's not perfect, but I make this happen. Mama says, being strong means moving forward. Tiny steps are fine, she says, as long as they take you in the right direction. When I decide to write 100 thank you notes to strong people, it seems like so many, more than I could ever do. But each time I give one away, I'm closer to my goal. Grandma Z says, strong people care and sometimes cry. They help people and let other people help them. That's why when Kayla offers me a hand, I take it. I don't reach the top, but I get higher than before. So I say, I am strong. And when I'm not strong enough alone, I can be strong with someone else. Like Grandma Z and me, when we each take a backpack strap, flex our muscles, and lift. Together, we'll keep going strong until everyone is showing up, speaking up, and never, ever giving up.
Aw.
And that is the end.
Oh, yay. I love that book so much. And you know, it is one of those that where you say, you've given us so much already. And every time one comes out, and it's like, it's even better. It just keeps going. Like, where does your inspiration come from?
Well, it comes from a lot of different spots. I mean, a lot of it is me thinking back to when I was a kid and thinking, what kinds of books did I wish I could have read? I mean, because like I was exposed to books, but not a huge number of them. My school library, at least what I remember, was really old and outdated. I mean, there weren't books that really seemed like they spoke to me as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I tried to think, what's a book that I would have needed? And I would have needed Be Strong because I was the kid who could never climb. We had ropes instead of climbing walls. I could never climb the rope. And then I get a lot of ideas by listening to kids today. I mean, I love listening to kids talk, and you can take just little things and like turn them into a story.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Thank you for that. And it's just so tapping into your childhood. And did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which most people know is the city that made Oshkosh Bagosh overalls. And yeah,
I had those as a kid. I had all the way out in Lusaka, Zambia. I had no idea where Oshkosh is.
Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
I thought it was somewhere in Japan.
No, it's in Wisconsin. I grew up there. If you follow football, it's a little south of Green Bay where the Packers play. But yeah, that's where I grew up. And it was a nice place to grow up. But I spent a lot of time at like the local library and the bookmobile trying to like get books there.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are your fondest memories growing up as a child? But you mentioned the library, and were there others that
well, one is going to the bookmobile. Like there was this big, huge bookmobile that would twice a week, like stop a couple blocks from my house, and my sister and I would walk to the bookmobile, carry as many books as we couldn't go home and read them. So like that's a huge memory of growing up is that.
Yeah.
And then my family did a lot of like outdoor stuff. You know, we played volleyball and kickball and like outdoor sports. And so I was outside a lot as a kid.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And I know that, you know, you talk about being outside. How is it now? Do you find yourself taking advantage of the warmer weather? Because I know it snows out where you are. How is it in the wintertime? Do you still get time to be outside? I don't go out in the winter much because it's really cold in Wisconsin. You know, it's like -7, you know, and there's snow and it's windy. I mean, I go out like but I don't go out and like during the warmer weather, I'll go out and walk outside. But I walk inside my house during the winter. That's what
and then with the pandemic, you know, I'm staying inside more anyway. So unfortunately, it does get kind of locked down in the winter.
Yeah.
And I don't ski or do anything like that would get me out in the snow.
Yeah. Do you can you ski, or is it just something you don't like doing, or is
it's something I don't like doing? I would injure myself, and I think that would be a bad thing.
I have a sister who's out in just outside Montreal in Canada, and it's so funny because I've visited them, and it gets cold. Even now, they've been sending me pictures or just like shots. My sister will be like, "Oh, today it's -35 Fahrenheit." And I'm just like, no, I'm getting nowhere near that. I visited in the winter one time, and my brother-in-law comes to me and is like, "Oh, let's go on a walk." Are you kidding me? Like, where am I freezing outside?
I've lived in Wisconsin my whole life, but I just don't like the cold. So, I mean, maybe I should move, but I'm here and it's fine.
Yeah, no, it was. And I remember one time I came out and I was like, because when I got there, it was in the -30s, 20s. And then one time, I think on the third or fourth day, we went outside, and I remember having this feeling, just thinking to myself, I was like, oh, it's nice today. And I said it out loud, and I caught myself. I was like, wait a second. And so I looked at my thermometer, and it was like -30.
It's amazing how that shifts your perspective. Like I actually put on a winter coat the other day and it was 12 degrees. I mean, you know, other places would be 12 degrees. Like, but a lot of times I walk around without a coat because I'm kind of used to it. But we reached the time when I put my coat on.
Yeah, wow, amazing. I always have two. One of the questions I always have is when it changes for people living in a certain place, and at what point do you adjust and just become to that new place? And I mean, I remember being cold when I first moved out to the US, but I can't remember when I feel like I became more comfortable, because I'll go back to Zambia and I see people in their jackets sometimes. I'm like, oh, I don't think it's jacket weather yet, but
It's not yet.
so relative. Oh yeah. So one of the things too that just seems to come out so strongly in your books in a good way, in a very gentle way, is it seems like family is big to you.
It is. It really is. I mean, I think most writers, I mean, it's impossible to write without having some of you come out into your book, even if you're not trying to.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I always want kid readers to walk away from my books knowing that they deserve to feel safe and loved. And I know not every kid has that, and that's unfortunate, but I want them to know that they deserve it, that, you know, in a perfect world, they would be safe and loved. And so that's, I think, what I try to like infuse in all of my books on some level, that, you know, you should be safe, you should be loved, there should be people who care about you. So that's sort of my like subconscious thing I want to get in there somehow.
Oh, I love that. No, honestly, and even just from Be Strong, I love this part where you say, Grandma Z says, strong people care and sometimes cry. They help people and let other people help them. I just love that. Like, how do I know you're inspired, but how do things like that just come to you?
I really, with this book, you know, I think if you ask random people, what does it mean to be strong? They think of physical strength, you know, how much can I lift? How much can I jump? What can I pick up? You know, and to me, being strong is so much more than that. And I think kids don't realize that. Like they think, oh, I'm not strong because I can't do this thing in gym class, or I can't run as fast as somebody else can. But, you know, but there's strength in other ways, emotional strength and spiritual strength and mental strength. And then there's strength in letting somebody help you and not feeling like, you know, you have to be perfect all the time. And like you can't feel sad or you can't ask for help when you need it. And so I really wanted the book to reflect all the different kinds of strength. And hopefully a kid can go through that and go, oh, well, I'm strong like that in that one way. You know, maybe not in another way, but in this way, I am.
Yeah. No, I love that. And honestly, even today in my classroom, I had a conversation with my kids where we were talking about, it was a historical event we were talking about, and it was at a time, or at least for that setting, things were very they were very gendered. And so we're trying to talk about the different reasons why that might have happened like that at that time, but also highlighting and really emphasizing and trying to remind the kids, like, nobody is more special than the other. Nobody takes like a higher position than the other. Even though these things were like that, we want to make sure that today you know that you're special and you can still do this. And I found myself really trying, like, how do I make sure this point gets home? And I wish, I wish I had brought this book with me. And I will be taking it back, I think, the next time we go to class and just kind of read through again.
And the other thing, based on what you just said, I think a lot of like life today for kids who are really good at sports or athletics sometimes get noticed or honored or recognized more than kids who are good at other things, because it's such a visible skill. There's a clear winner, and so even if you're a kid who's really good at that kind of thing, which is awesome, and you should celebrate that, I want those kids to know too that they may be strong that way, but they can be strong in other ways too, that their whole worth isn't defined by the fact that they won a race, because next time they might lose, and then what?
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it really, I am not afraid, and I hope that like other people out there too are not afraid to show emotion, to cry in front of people. And especially too, I feel like so much of society, there's this, like, I don't know if it's like a macho or like this thing where it's like, oh, men don't do this or don't show this, and it's just, for me, it's just so it impedes everything that I want to do. I feel liberated when I can show myself, my true self.
Yes.
And whether that means me crying, whether it's crying tears of joy for somebody or even sadness. And so it's just really interesting. I loved it. I think that part resonated with me. And I hope that, like out there too, even the kids that are listening right now realize like it is okay to be you and to live your life as authentic as you can be.
Yeah. And emotion is not weakness. Emotion can be strength.
Right. No, absolutely. And then you mentioned too in here, you say, tiny steps are fine. I love that. Please, like, what does that mean for you?
Well, I think kids today are under a lot of pressure. I think probably more so than when I was a kid growing up. There's like expectations from maybe their parents or their teachers or even themselves when they look at other kids. And I think, anytime you want to be good at something, whether it's learning to play the piano, whether it's being good in a sport, whether it's like getting a certain grade, nobody wakes up one day, it's just on something. It requires work and effort, and you fail along the way. And so as long as you're getting closer to your goal or whatever your big mountain is that you want to reach, that's good. Even if you didn't get there in one huge step, if you get there in 100 tiny steps, you still get there. And I always tell kids, I've wanted to write books for kids since I was probably 19. That was my goal. I got 126 no's before I sold my first book. That's a lot of no's. That's a lot of times that people said, no, and it would have been easy to give up, but I kept working and writing and hopefully getting better. And I got where I wanted to go, and then even more than maybe I would have expected. So I'm big on small steps and progress.
In progress. No, and like even in the book you mentioned too, I think in the end, as you're saying, it's and never ever giving up.
Yes.
So I think like that's another powerful thing, because every time I try, like I remember I was having a conversation with one of my students. She is brilliant, like just in all, just as a human being, as an academic, everything that she does, she just presents so well. And but you can tell too at times when things when things have not clicked yet on a particular thing, like it really frustrates her. And so we're having a conversation and she was just like, I don't want to do this anymore and so on. And I was just like, but remember when you could not do long division? But where are you now? And you could just see like she just sat there for a moment. And I was really just like reaching out for everything. I was like, I know you can do this. And if you just stick with it, you can do it. And so it was just, like things like this really remind me of those little bits, and how even the strong, like you're saying, need that encouragement. And I had a conversation with a friend too at one point where like there's so many people that are strong as we're living in the pandemic and living through so many like different hardships that people go through, and then we said, we take care of others, or people take care of others, but who takes care of the strong?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody needs some help and some assistance. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. And just a reminder to everybody that's joining us that we are having a conversation with the amazing Pat Zietlow Miller, and of course, the author of many amazing books, including this one that we just read today, Be Strong. And of course, she's had a journey, as she's mentioned, that she got quite a number of rejections before landing that first book. So take us back to that first book. How special was it? How special is it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So after the 126 rejections, I got a phone call from a publisher who I had sent a manuscript to. And they said, oh, we want to publish. My first book was called Soapy Squash, and a little girl that falls in love with a butternut squash and carries it around. But then, of course, the squash starts to like get mushy and gross, and she has to decide what is she going to do when the squash that she loves is, falling apart. And it was based on my youngest daughter actually did carry a butternut squash around as a kid. She put a face on it, and it was her friend. And so that was the inspiration for the first book. So that's really special to me that my first book, was inspired by my daughter. And it's still out there and still doing well. And it was just such a wonderful thing to finally, reach that moment of achieving the goal and then seeing the book come out.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And have you always written from the time you were a kid? I know you mentioned that you read a lot. So had you always written?
I did. I always liked words, and I always liked putting them together. I wrote for the school paper. I liked doing writing assignments. They were my favorite thing in school. I majored in journalism, was a newspaper reporter for a while before I became a children's book author. And then, for a long time, I had my regular day job. And then I was writing my children's books on weekends and at night because, I needed the money and the health insurance.
Yeah.
So I was doing both for a while, but I've always liked writing in words. And of all the different ways I've used them, writing for kids is by far the most satisfying way to use words.
Why is that?
I think what I like about writing for kids is that, whether you're 4 or whether you're 94, you have the same emotions. But when you're 4 or, younger, those emotions seem bigger because you're not used to them. You're not used to dealing with them. They're new. And I kind of like finding those universal emotions. So whether you're young or old, the reader can go, oh, I felt that way, And I like kind of helping kids realize, this is a big thing you're feeling, but it's going to be okay. And there's lots of different purposes for children's books. And some people write books that are like super funny. I tend to go more warm and fuzzy, but I think that's what I needed as a kid. And I think a really good picture book should feel like you're getting a hug. And that's kind of what I want to give to kids.
Yeah. No, well, you've given us many hugs back. This one. Oh, I love this one. Just the adrenaline from it, just the excitement around it. How did this come about? And
I love that book. Okay, this book is different than some of my other books because it's historical fiction. So there are parts of it that I made up, and then there's parts of it that actually happened.
Yeah.
And I've always been a huge fan of Wilma Rudolph, who was an Olympic sprinter, and in 1960 she won 3 gold medals at the Olympic Games in Rome, and she was the fastest woman in the world. And she had a great story because she was one of 21 children, and she had polio when she was a kid and had a leg brace. And the doctor said that she would always need the brace to walk. But when her parents weren't watching, she would take it off and she would walk. And she ended up not only walking, but running and then becoming the fastest woman in the world. And so I wanted to lift her up in the story. But so I had 2 girls in the town she actually grew up in, Clarksville, Tennessee, kind of competing to see who was the faster person. And they both looked up to Wilma. And so I had things I made up and then lots of facts about Wilma Rudolph. And I'm very proud of that book. I learned a ton about Wilma that I didn't know. I did a lot of research, and I was really happy with how it all came together.
Yeah. And how, how did that come about? And how did you, with the research too, how far did you dig?
Well, I read everything I could find on Wilma. She wrote an autobiography, and I read that. I read biographies about her by other people. I read picture books about her. There's a great picture book called Wilma Unlimited. I read that. I reached out to a historian in Clarksville, Tennessee, and talked to them. I reached out to the Leaf Chronicle newspaper in Tennessee and got some information from their archives. And then I had all this information, and picture books are short. So I had to say, okay, what are the pieces I'm going to pick out that are going to end up in the book? Because, I could have written a much longer book, but that wouldn't have worked. So, and then I actually, was able to get a picture of Wilma riding in her victory parade that's at the back of the book, which was just really exciting.
Yeah.
And there are some YouTube videos of her racing too. And so I watched a lot of video of her Olympic events.
Yeah, no, it is a great book. For those of you that are with us, really go to your library, find this one, or find it wherever you find books and just enjoy it. How was it working with Frank Morrison?
Oh, Frank is so incredibly, amazingly talented. I've never met him, but we're Facebook friends.
Yeah.
And we've gone back and forth, but I don't know if anybody else could have illustrated the book as wonderfully as he did. He does such a good job of drawing people in motion and drawing adorable girls, which are in the book. And yeah, he did an amazing job.
Oh, that's awesome. And one of the things too, you've worked with Jen Hill. Mm-hmm. Have you worked the most with her, and how has that been?
Well, I've done 2 books with Jen, and I have met Jen. We were both in New York at the same time, and we had lunch, which was awesome. And Jen, again, is just incredibly talented. I'm the type of person, I can draw stick figures and maybe a little cat, but that's about the extent of my artistic ability. So I have such respect for the people that illustrate the books that I write, because with the picture book, the words are important, but then what people see first are the pictures. And so, what the illustrators do really elevates what I do.
Yeah. No, and one of the interesting things too, I remember even when I started first with Storytime, I would read through, and I feel as adults, we tend to do that. Well, we tend to read the words and just
Mhm.
keep going. But then somebody mentioned, they're like, you should slow down because the kids
Yes,
wanted to see the picture. And
definitely.
I was like, oh, I will slow down. And then I also started doing this thing where when I'm reading, I was like, no, I'm going to look at the pictures. And I started enjoying it even more and noticing even more with the book.
And yeah, if you're an adult reading to kids, one of the things I've noticed is the kids, they're listening to you, but they're looking at the art. And I've had so many times where I've been reading to a kid, even some of my own books, and they've pointed out things in the art that I have never seen before. I wasn't going slow enough. I wasn't paying enough attention. And I'm like, well, look at that. You're absolutely right. You know?
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. How about this one? Because the others I feel like I went on this one too.
Yeah, that's coming out March 1st. It's my next book. Eliza Wheeler's the artist for that, and I've done 3 books with Eliza, and she's amazing. And this one, it's all about having like that one best friend who just like really, really gets you. And I wrote it in rhyme, which I'm very proud of. But it's sort of like a love letter to your best friend.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that anybody who's got that kind of friend or that kind of a family member or any person in their life that they feel is just like, you know, their ride or die bestie, will like the book.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know too that you have these ones, and just walk us through some of those. It just seems like such a loaded bag there.
Yeah, 2022 is a big picture book year for me. I've got 5 books. So I talked about When I'm With You, and then after that comes In Our Garden, and that is a story about a girl who comes to the U.S. from another country and misses the garden that she had at her previous home, and so she works with her school to have a rooftop garden made. And a lot of schools do have rooftop gardens, so I had a lot of fun looking at schools that actually had started a rooftop garden to write that book.
Yeah.
And then Not So Small, I call it my protest picture book. It's all about speaking up and making sure your voice gets heard, and how even if you're one person with one voice, it can make a difference. See You Someday Soon is really warm and fuzzy, and it's all about loving someone who's far away. You know, whether you're separated by the pandemic or by like a lot of geographical space, like maybe you're in a different country. But that one is just all about how to stay in touch with people you love that aren't nearby. And then the last one that comes out in June is Lupe Lopez, A Rockstar Rules. And I wrote that with my writing friend, E.E. Charlton Trujillo. And it's about a girl named Lupe who goes to kindergarten, convinced she's a rock star, and discovers that kindergarten rules are different than rock star rules. And she has to figure out, how can I be a rock star and still, you know, follow the kindergarten rules.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And so I know that, you know, these books are coming. So how long has it taken you to write them? And has it all been this past year's work? Or?
Oh no, picture books take a really, really long time. And so some of these were written several years ago, like Not So Small, I wrote in 2016, you know, but what happens is sometimes they take a while to sell, you know, and then it takes a while to get an illustrator assigned. And then the illustrator maybe has to finish up another book before they can start your book. And so it can take like several years from when I think I'm done with the book till it actually, you know, is a book out in the world. So they were all written over like probably a 4 to 5 year period.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, thank you. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see them. And yeah, so who are you working with on those ones? Who's the publisher? Because I know you've worked with Chronicle. You have different.
Let's see if I can do this. When I'm With You is with Little Brown, and In Our Garden is with Putnam. Not So Small is with HarperCollins. See You Someday Soon is Roaring Brook, which is part of Macmillan, and then Lupe Lopez is with Candlewick. So 5 different publishers and different illustrators.
Amazing. I had also, you know, like I was just thinking with your books, I feel seen, you know, like, and I'm hoping that other Black and brown kids out there too feel the same way. How have you done that? Has been conscious steps that you've taken in doing that?
Well, I really, as I've become more, as my writing career has gone on, I've become more and more aware. Like I went on a book tour after one of my books, and I was in like 7 cities in 6 days, ranging from like Wisconsin to California to everywhere in between. And I was in so many different types of schools, and I got to really see the kids that are reading my books, and that was like enlightening for me, because I was like, oh, and then I was like, I have to make sure that my books reflect all those kids that are out there. And it was never that I didn't want them to. It was just the wake-up call that I needed to be like, okay, because when I was in school where I grew up, a lot of the kids looked the same,
Yeah.
and so
Right.
that was like the wake-up call for me. And now I'm really very conscious of trying to write something that is universal, but yet also reflects all the diversity, that's out there. And then obviously the illustrators do a huge part with that too.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And then too, like, I know that even in this book, you're advocating, there's advocacy for how to let others help you to be vulnerable, to how to show up. You mentioned in Be Strong, like, until everybody shows up, speaks up. So
And never gives up.
it never gives up. Exactly. So what are some of the things for you that you feel passionate about, that you want others out there too, or you hope others out there too?
I am passionate about literacy. I'm passionate about getting books in the hands of children, the right book for the right kid. I'm passionate about LGBTQ issues and equal rights for that. I am passionate about, there's a charity called Smile Train that I support that does surgery for kids that have been born with cleft lips, and it repairs them often in other countries. And I'm just passionate about people having the resources that they need so that they can go out and, be the best version of themselves that they can be.
Right. That is amazing. And like right now we talk about so many issues that are going on: healthcare workers, safety, teacher safety, student safety in these places. And how are you doing with everything else that is going on? Have you been able to find that time for self-care for yourself, even as you're putting yourself out as well?
That's always a struggle. I mean, I'm trying to do better. I have a list of things that I should be doing for self-care, and some of them I do, and then I have days that, aren't so good. But I will say I have been relatively fortunate during the pandemic. When I had a day job, I was able to work from home, so I didn't have to, go to the office. I could do it remotely. And then I was able to start doing books full-time in June, which, lightened up some of my stress level and let me focus on the thing that I like doing the most. It's been, sometimes I felt a little isolated, but overall, I'm trying to do a good job.
No, that's amazing. And I hope, I hope that continues, those tiny steps keep.
Yeah. In fact, it's not a sure thing. There may possibly be a third book in the Be Kind, Be Strong series. And if there is, one option is called Be Well. But we're tossing around different options, and Be Well would be about like, how do you, take care of yourself?
Yeah.
Things you need to do. So maybe.
Oh, no, I love it. That sounds amazing. Also, Pat, too, like, I know that you put up that for the blog. What do you talk about in your blog? And
oh yeah, the blog is called Picture Book Builders, and it's me and 6 other picture book writers. And we pick usually a picture book that we love that somebody else wrote, and we talk about why we liked it, or we'll do an interview with that author or illustrator. And it's to like, promote work, promote literacy, help people that maybe want to write for kids themselves kind of figure out how the whole process works. And so I really like writing for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And then too, like, how, like, are there other authors, illustrators that you lean on for your material and so on? And
I've got a group of people that like I share manuscripts with if I want someone else. Cause sometimes, you get stuck. You're like, okay, this is where I am. I don't think it's quite right. And you need somebody else's opinion. So I have people that I share things with. I have writers that I've never actually spoken to, but I hugely admire, and I read all their stuff and try to like learn from them, because that's a cool thing. Like you can read their book and go, well, how did they do that? And then you can try to apply it to what you write. So I have such respect for other authors. Yeah. And you want me to list some, or
No. It's just, I mean, if you want to, absolutely, because somebody listening out there could be coming across that name for the first time.
Yeah, well, there's a couple. I mean, I will leave so many people off, but Andrea Wang is a wonderful picture book author. She just wrote Watercress, which is this beautiful, beautiful book. Tamika Fryer Brown is a wonderful writer. She wrote Brown Baby Lullaby. Jill Esbaum is an amazing rhymer. Chris Barton does amazing nonfiction. Alice Faye Duncan does amazing nonfiction. And I'm sorry to all my writer friends I haven't mentioned, but there's so many super talented people out there.
Yeah. And of your, like your not your friends, like who is one that you would like to partner with, or whose work you admire?
Well, okay, Marla Frazee. She's an author and an illustrator, and I think her art is just stupendous. I have such mad respect for her and everything she's created. So yeah, Marla Frazee is like one of my picture book idols. And then Judith Bjorst, who wrote Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. She's in her 80s or 90s now, but she's still there. She's still writing, and I still love what she does.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I love those books. I love them. And there are so many lessons that we did around that with my first graders. And so would have them write their own version of the horrible, terrible, no good, very bad.
Because everybody has them.
Yeah. Oh, Pat, thank you so much for joining us on Storytime today. But before we go, we have all these things that are coming, exciting things. And where can people find you? How can they follow your work? And, and just, how do you do author visits? How do people reach you?
Well, I'm really active on Twitter. I love Twitter. I know some people don't, but I'm at Pat Z Miller. I've got a website, www.patzietlow.miller.com. I haven't been doing many school visits because of the pandemic and the travel and everything. I've done some virtual things, but usually, Twitter or my website are the best places to reach out to me. And there's contact information on the website.
Yeah, awesome. And also, how has it been for you doing virtual visits versus the in-person? How are they?
Virtual visits are a little harder because you can't see the kids. I mean, you can see a picture of them on your screen, but it's harder to do the one-on-one engagement. Usually when I'm talking to kids, I'm asking them questions and I'm having them raise their hands and vote on things. And it's a little harder to do that over a screen, but you can make it work.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. No, it's been such a pleasure, honestly, having you here with us. And before, I let you go, just wondering too, is there anything a message that you want to give us? I mean, just this book alone, I feel like is that letter that definitely implores us to go there and try things, and also just remember to also look at ourselves, look inside and find that comfort. But is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Yeah. I mean, for any kids or adults listening, I always like to tell people that, you have a story. Even if you don't think you do, or even if you think maybe your story isn't important, you have one. And it's up to you how you share it, whether you write a book or whether you tell it to a friend or whether you keep it yourself. But you should know that your story is important and you are important, and your story can go out there and make a difference in the world in whatever way you want it to.
Yeah. And after how many rejections? Just
126.
Those that are trying, please do not give up. We have this amazing author, 126. That's amazing. Wow. No, thank you, Pat, for being here. And, we just hope, I personally am hoping and wishing for much more of your work to come out. The ones coming out this year, I'm excited for them. And also the gifts that you've given us already too. It's just, we celebrate you. I celebrate you personally too. And I hope that, we have many more. And may this, this gift that you have just keep flowing.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was absolutely delightful.
Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. This is, it is seeing your name on so many amazing books, and then being able to talk here together, being able to share this time is just special. I'm thankful for that. And thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, everybody joining us. And Pat, don't go away. I'll be right back in a second. Everybody that is joining us today, I hope that you enjoyed that. That was the amazing author, Pat Zietlow Miller. And yes, many, many great books. As you've seen today, we were reading Be Strong. I hope you enjoyed that one. There's no other way. You cannot not enjoy that one. It is a beautiful one indeed. And of course, It was preceded by Be Kind, this one also by Jen Hill with the illustrations. And then one that has been here on Storytime as well, The Quickest Kid in Clarksville. Another great one, and many, many other books that Pat has done. So please do find Pat, like we were saying there, at www.patzitlowmiller.com, and of course you can find her on Twitter as well as on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. We will see you again on Monday for another exciting episode, and please do look out over the weekends for all the exciting series that we have coming for you. So hopefully one of these days we might be doing a Pat Zietlow Miller week. We have to do it with all the amazing work that she is doing. Thank you so much. And of course, let us remember always to spare a thought for our friends that do not have as much as we do. And if you can, please support, whether it's material support, whether it's your time, even just phone banking for some of the places, please do that. It is important. Your energy matters. Your voice matters. Let us show up when we can, if we can. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Always a pleasure being with you. And I will see you again on Monday with another exciting episode. If you missed Storytime over the weekend, please go back to our archives, check out what we have, see all the amazing stories on there. And please remember to support our creators. Go find the books at your local libraries. Find them where you find books, bookstores, your local bookstores. Please support them. Go out there and check out these books. And of course, remember those library resources are there for you. If they don't have the book you want, demand that they bring it. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. I will see you again on Monday. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. Much love from me. Hugs to each and every one of you. Bye-bye. Oh, thank you, everybody. Yes, that was the conversation and, of course, reading that we had from author Pat Zietlow Miller. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime. I was enjoying that so much, cozy in my blanket right here, enjoying the story and indeed the conversation. Thank you for being here with us on Storytime. To everybody that was with us, yes, Mrs. Knight, thank you so much for joining in. Braylon, Kavaya, Chad, I'm still going to say all the names. Thank you so much for joining in on Storytime. Oh, love it. Pamela Courtney, thank you too as well. Kennedy Kapolio Kampamba, Tomaida Zulu, everybody that joined in. Miss Ingrid out in Patagonia, thank you so much for joining in. I have 3 minutes. I'm going to try and say all the names that we have right here today. Thank you. Amanda, thank you so much. Amanda Waltman, yes. If you want your photographs taken, please do reach out to Amanda. Amazing indeed. Thank you, everybody that's joining in. Baby Bia, absolutely love it. Please have a wonderful weekend as we are finishing our week this week. Thank you so much. Wonderful stories that we've had indeed. And we're ending it, of course, with Be Strong from Pat Zietlow Miller. I hope you enjoyed meeting Pat. To everybody that joined us today, Amanda, West, and of course, Sarah and Nathan, everybody that was joining us today. Thank you for being here on Storytime. Kennedy Kapolio Kampamba, one more time. Thank you to everybody. Cool Kid Life, JC on. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. Appreciate you, buddy. And of course, we will be back next week for more Storytime. This has been Storytime for this week, coming to you from Ohlone Land, sacred Ohlone Land here in Oakland, where Oakland sits. And of course, this is the founding city of the Black Panther Party. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Yes, indeed, go out there, hold your leaders accountable. Let us do that. Together, we're stronger. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Much love from me, and I will see you again on Monday with another exciting lineup, another exciting book. Go out there and enjoy your day. Thank you for being here with me. Much love. Hugs, and kisses to each and every one of you. Bye-bye.
Lonely, won't you start on a reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You only lonely, won't you start on a reading? We just can't wait to be